Hey guys, I'm Nikhil from the Kenstone YouTube channel. Joining me is our director, Nikhil.
Hi.
So, in this video, we'll be doing a deep dive into improving your CIBIL score or your credit score. So, let's get straight into the topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the first simple thing to understand is what are the primary reason why someone should even bother about a low CIBIL score.
Right.
If you guys want to know what CIBIL score is, we've done a lot of videos. You can
Right.
check them out right here. We're getting straight in the topic here, which is if someone has a low CIBIL score, why should he be
Right.
concerned?
Right.
And what are some signs of these low CIBIL scores, according
Right.
to you?
Right. So first and foremost thing, why CIBIL score? If you want to access credit, right, you require CIBIL score. Okay. Everywhere, wherever you apply for credit, the first and foremost thing that they are going to check is your credit report. Okay. There, one of the major, aspect that comes into picture is your CIBIL score or your credit score in general. There are multiple bureaus operating here in India. There are 4 bureaus: CIBIL, Equifax, CRIF Highmark, and Experian. Each one of them generates scores based on the history that has been uploaded into them. So whenever you try to access credit, your credit score would be checked. Based on that, the approval to the credit happens. So guys, please keep in mind, whenever you access credit or whenever you try to access credit, your CIBIL score gets checked. If you have a low CIBIL score, your credit access will get denied or will be denied by the financial institutions or banks. So let's talk about what are the consequences of having a low CIBIL score. The major consequence of having a low CIBIL score is you're being denied to access credit.
No home loans, no
home
credit
loan,
cards, no
whatever,
vehicle
all
loans,
kinds of credits.
no business loan also.
No, nothing. Nothing.
Okay.
All you get debarred or barred from accessing credit.
Okay.
So it can be any sorts of credit. It can be a vehicle loan, housing loan, personal loan, app loan, even an app loan. You can't even access 10,000 rupees because you have a low CIBIL score. So this is the major underlying fact, that describes
So imagine I'm
what
someone.
happens.
Okay. So imagine I'm someone who doesn't really check CIBIL score regularly.
Right.
Okay. What are some signs, according to you, which can indicate me that, hey, your score is getting bad or poor?
Right. So let's have two things. One is, let's assume you do not have any loan accounts.
Okay.
Okay. So that means no history. Okay. Your credit report will also have an indication that you do not have any history. It's represented as NH. NH means no history. Okay. That means in the past you have not taken any credit from any of the institutions, financial institutions or banks or XYZ. So here, if this is one of the cases, then you should build a credit history for yourself to access, more and more credit, all kinds of credit. It can be a housing loan, it can be a vehicle loan, or any sort of other loans. You definitely require history because banks checks your credit report before approving the loan. That is one major aspect. So if you do not have any loan or access to credit, please access credit. Maybe have a credit card, or there are programs like Credit Builder program wherein you can build credit by having a secured credit card. That is one thing. Second, you should be monitoring your credit report at least 6 months, at least once in a 6 month.
Okay.
Once in 6 months or twice in a year.
Okay.
So that you should, you'll not have a surprise when you access credit.
So what are some ways of monitoring or checking this?
You can straight away create an account with CIBIL or any of the other credit bureaus. Now, the major market share is held by CIBIL, or most of the banks rely upon the data of CIBIL. So you should be accessing CIBIL, right? So create an account with CIBIL, access your CIBIL score. Okay. Generally, CIBIL score ranges from 300 to 900. which we have discussed in in several of our videos as to what is the range, 300 to 900. If it's upwards of 750, it's quite healthy. That means if you apply for any sorts of loan, CIBIL will not be a block.
Got it.
There can be other blocks in terms of income, that which we call it as capacity, in terms of collateral, which comes into picture when you are taking a mortgage loan. But CIBIL will never ever act as a block.
Okay.
Right.
So let's get started with the topic of the video.
Yes.
Which is improvement.
Right.
So someone realizes कि boss मेरा CIBIL कम है, खराब है.
Right.
It's bad, it's low. Blind loans are getting rejected.
Right.
What should be the first action he should take?
A lot of people have low CIBIL scores.
Okay.
A lot of people do not have an understanding of how to read the report, what a credit report is,
okay,
what a CIBIL score is, or a credit score is.
Okay.
That is the major blocker, that comes, when it comes to improving one's CIBIL score. Right? No, when I do not have an understanding of what a credit report is or what a credit score is,
right?
How do you expect me to improve my credit score? Right? No, first of all, you require an understanding of what it is before getting into the process of improving it.
Right.
So let's again delve into what is it before delving into what you can do to improve it. Right? No?
Yeah.
Once again, guys, we are delving into the same topic as to what a credit report is, what a credit score is, before getting into the process of what we can do to improve it.
Okay.
A credit score is a sum total. It gives in terms of number as to how you are transacted in the past, or how we have serviced each one of your loans in the past. Okay, that's the sum total. When you access your credit report, there are 3 sections in your credit report. First is your score, which is a summation of all your activity of 3 years, 36 months, which comes in the form of score, which ranges from 300 to 900. Second is your personal information. Guys, it's extremely important to keep cross-verifying your personal information in your credit report. There is enough chances of your credit, your personal information getting misreported by any of the banks while you apply for loans, or data, mismatch error happening.
Which is random people ka data coming to your account.
Absolutely. Imagine me having one written off account, which is not mine.
Yeah.
And which is blocking me from getting a loan.
Guys, if you don't know what written off account is, again, we've done a detailed video on written off. You can check it out. The link will be
Absolutely.
Right here.
Yes.
But yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So keep verifying, your personal information in credit report. The first section is your score. After that, it's personal information, which contains name, your PAN card details, your address information, your contact numbers, your email addresses, your employment status, wherever you're working, your passport number. These are the personal information that gets reflected or being reported by banks wherever you would have applied for loans. Okay, please keep cross-verifying. That's one aspect. Then comes the account information, which gives the entire details of the loan account. Okay, it contains first is the product. If I have a credit card from ICICI Bank, it's bank name ICICI Bank. Then what is the product? It's a credit card. Then what is the credit limit, which is 1 lakh rupees? What is the overdue, which I have used around 25,000 rupees? Current balance, which is again the remaining, which is the current balance if you subtract 25,000, 75,000 rupees. Okay. Then the major flag, the major aspect that we need to check is credit facility status.
Okay.
Which reflects the status of the account.
Okay.
So there are multiple statuses. Okay. One is written off. Written off clearly states that I'm not paying.
Some loan you have not paid and bank has just written it off.
I haven't paid, or I have defaulted on that particular loan account. Or it also states that I have not been paying from past 6 months. After 6 months, it gets written off. Minimum is 6 months, maximum can be anything. It might be 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever. Haven't paid. Okay. Next is open, which is a running account. I'm taking credit and paying it back. It's a running account. Closed, account closed. I've paid everything, close the loan account. Next is account sold.
Okay.
Okay. Here the account has been sold to someone else.
To a third party
Third party,
or whatever.
Third party ARC. They're called account restructuring companies.
Okay.
For example, I have a credit card, haven't paid, defaulted, gotten into written off. Then the same bank would have pooled all the written off accounts and sold it to someone else. So only ARC has the license to acquire all these written off portfolios. So there it reflects as account sold.
Okay.
So if I have to close this particular loan account, I have to reach out to the ARC, which has bought the portfolio from this particular bank. That is one of the status. Post written off settled, which we have discussed. First it was written off, then the borrower has come and settled the account. Settled, wherein I haven't paid the full amount. So these are the different credit facility statuses.
Okay.
Which we need to be aware of, so that if any of these flags block you from accessing credit in future, any sorts of products. For example, if I have a written off account, I cannot access any sort of credit.
Okay.
Nobody will approve my loan.
Okay.
In future. Okay, that means this particular written off account is blocking me from accessing credit.
Correct.
Even if I have a good score.
Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, please understand, you can have a written off account and you can also have score beyond 750.
What are you saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, I have one written off credit card.
Okay.
So which was written off, let's assume, 5 years back or 6 years back. Okay. Now after that, I have, during that period itself, let's assume I had 5 credit cards, out of which one was written off.
Okay.
Another four credit cards are there.
Uh-huh.
And let's assume I had also one personal loan. I would have also taken one housing loan. Okay. Now CIBIL, to calculate the score, algorithm takes the activity of only past 36 months.
Oh, so the old written off will appear in your report, but
won't make an impact in terms of calculating the score.
But it will still block your ability to take credit.
Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So for example, all these six or 7 loan accounts are building my credit score.
Mm-hmm. One of them is just
written off.
That's like a blocker.
Blocking my access to credit.
How many cases like this have you seen?
Multiple ones. Somebody having a good credit score comes to us stating that, boss, I am unable to access credit. My home loan got rejected. See, most of the cases that comes to us are home loan rejections.
Okay.
Right. So they would have got, even with written off, a couple of them will approve in certain cases, having good relationship with manager. 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, you can anywhere get approved.
Okay.
With a good relationship. But you cannot approve, you cannot get access to housing loans because the exposure is on the higher side. Right? No, if you have to take a housing loan here in Bangalore, you need at least 50-60 lakh rupees.
Correct.
So they will not approve. Right? No. So guys, please understand, you can, even with written off flag in your report, you can still have a good credit score. Upwards of 750, because the activity that gets consumed by the algorithm is of past 36 months. If you have good activity in from previous 36 months, it will definitely have a good score. You will definitely have a good score, right? No, with written off account. So this is one section, account information. Please be aware of all the aspects. We have done several videos on each one of these aspects from an account information perspective, and your score gets calculated on the basis of how you are managing your loan accounts.
Okay.
Right. No. The third section or the fourth section, including your credit score, is your enquiries. So this section reflects the loan enquiries or the loan applications you have made with different banks.
Okay.
Let's assume I have applied for loans at 10 different banks.
Okay.
All the loan enquiries will reflect in this particular section.
Guys, this also impacts the CIBIL score.
Yes.
We'll be talking about this in details a little bit later. But yeah,
Right.
please continue.
Right. So here in this section, the calculation is application to approval ratio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They calculate, for example, I have applied loans at 10 different banks. So you should also have loan account information upwards, no? Right? No, you yourself can straight away calculate.
Yeah.
I have applied for credit card. Is it approved? Then it will become. Then
A
you would
loan
have.
account.
You would have. Yeah, the loan account will get immediately created.
Right.
No? For example, if I've applied, for credit at 10 different banks, and you don't see anything in the loan accounts, then that means all the 10 accounts have been rejected.
Correct.
No applications have been rejected, which straight away impacts your score. So this is another aspect. So from a credit score perspective, so I'll start working. I mean, I'll start pointing one at a time. From a credit score perspective, how you service first and foremost thing is how you service your loan accounts.
Okay.
For example, if you have a credit card, are you paying the overdue within the due date? So this is how credit card works. It has two different dates. One is billing date. The other one is due date, within which you have to pay the overdue, whatever you have taken.
Correct.
Or at least the minimum balance, which is a trap.
We'll be talking about this in a future video, so do subscribe for that.
So
But
guys,
yeah.
minimum balance is a trap. Please understand.
Yeah.
Design, very, very, technically and I scientifically designed by whoever, by a psychologist.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
scientifically designed to trap people.
We'll be doing a full video on minimum balance.
Minimum balance.
But yeah, please continue. So how have you serviced your credit card account?
If it's a credit card, are you servicing it month on month by paying either the overdue, the entire overdue, or at least the minimum balance?
Okay.
Then no late payments get reported. So your DPD comes into picture, days past due. So if you have taken personal loans, then largely 5th of every month EMI becomes due. Are you paying your EMI on time? I mean, 5th of every month, are you paying your EMI on time? Then 0 DPD. If it's housing loan, EMI on time. If it's vehicle loan, EMI on time. So this is one most important aspect is DPD, which is paying EMIs or your overdue when it comes to credit card on time. Okay. Next is if it becomes overdue, if it crosses the due date, when are you paying? I mean, how many DPDs? 30 DPD, 60 DPD, 90 DPD is NPA, non-performing asset. It's a clear red flag for a bank. Then your score immediately gets impacted.
Okay.
Then it clearly reflects the credit bureau that this individual or borrower is in trouble in terms of his finances. As in how the DPD goes up. They clearly, and after 6 months, when it gets marked as written off, then again your score goes down. 180 days written off, that means borrower has defaulted on his loan account. It's a clear,
it's a break.
It's a break. It's literally a break and a clear red flag for a credit bureau also.
Yeah.
Then they clearly red flag it. They clearly, block him from accessing further credit by, marking it as written off. So this is one important aspect in managing scores. Second aspect comes in. This has a major weightage. Paying the due within the due date. This has a major weightage.
Okay.
From an algorithm perspective. Second weightage is put on the category of the loans that you have taken. So there are two kinds of loans that you can take.
Okay.
One is unsecured. The other one is secured.
Oh, so I'm assuming unsecured has a negative effect?
Yes, if you have too many unsecured loans.
Okay.
Risk is on the higher side.
Correct.
See, when it's unsecured, it's not collateral backed. Right?
So having too many credit cards is bad.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
This is one of the questions we're going to talk about it. But okay.
So the two categories, secured and unsecured. Unsecured risk is very high because if one defaults, there's no collateral to take over. So secured is basically secured by collateral. If somebody defaults, then the bank can take over the collateral. If the category of unsecured loans is very high, then it's high risk.
Okay.
risk is on the higher side. Even if you are paying on time,
It's still considered bad.
it's not still considered bad. If the mix of credit card is on the higher side and your credit utilization ratio is on the higher side, then your score gets impacted.
So, okay.
You can, I mean, is it getting too technical?
No, it's fine. We'll cover this as we go along in the video in more detail.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be easier because I'm literally tracking it.
So guys, he's just giving us an overview of how
Yes,
your CIBIL score is getting impacted with different aspects in the credit report.
absolutely. So to have a good score, it's good to have a mix of both secured and unsecured loans.
Okay.
But what is really important is paying on time.
Okay.
And third aspect is do not apply for loans left, right, and center. Okay, which shows distress.
Okay. So no one wants to give money to someone in distress.
Absolutely. When
Actual पैसा तो लोगों को distress में चाहिए होता है यार.
चाहिए, but when one is desperate, nobody wants to help. Yeah, that's how the case is.
Oh God, huh?
Right, no?
Sad, but it's the reality. Okay.
That's the reality.
Let's continue.
Yes.
So, guys, these are different aspects which impact your CIBIL score.
Right.
So, let's start with some of the issues which you mentioned.
Right.
Starting with, if an individual finds, okay, he's read a CIBIL report and he finds that, he has late payments or defaults. So, what can he do to improve his CIBIL score now?
Right. When it comes to late payments, we cannot do anything with it because it's a history.
Okay.
We won't be able to tamper with the history.
Okay.
Right, no?
Okay.
Any one of our history, we won't be able to tamper with. History is history.
Okay.
Right, no? Second, if he has a written off account or if he has defaulted on any of the accounts, if he is willing to pay back the bank or willing to close the loan, then we can help. We can update the status of the account as closed.
Okay.
A closed account will not have any more effect.
In the future?
In terms of calculating the score.
Okay. So even if you have done a late payment but you have closed the account properly,
right,
then it stops having a negative effect.
Right. Scores will start building up.
Okay.
Based on the based on how he is servicing his other loan accounts.
Done. So late payments and payment defaults, guys, very simple. Close the account, make sure you pay.
Clean closure.
Have a clean closure with the bank.
Right.
Let's move to the next part which you mentioned. You can go in more detail here. This thing of credit utilization ratio.
Yes.
So in the context of CIBIL, how do you optimize that for better scores?
Absolutely. So let's assume, guys, let's assume that you have 3 different credit cards. Okay, from 3 different banks. Each one of them are 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh. Okay. So in total, you have access to 3 lakh rupees. Right? So if you're utilizing less than 30% from each one of these cards every month and paying it paying the overdue within the due date, nothing like it. Your scores keep improving.
Oh, okay.
Right? If you, for example, if you want more and more upgrades in your life, and if you get addicted to upgrades and you start swiping your credit card left, right, and center,
it's probably happening to me, guys.
Okay. And max out each one of these credit cards, max out all the 3 cards, utilize the entire 100% from all the 3 cards, which is 3 lakh rupees. And you won't be able to pay the overdue in one shot, which is 3 lakh rupees.
Right.
And you start servicing the credit card with only minimum balance. Right, no? Maybe 7,000 or 10,000 rupees in total, which 25-30 grand a month.
Right.
Then your score is badly getting impacted.
Okay.
Because the credit bureau also understands that this guy has taken more money than he can pay back. Accessed more credit than he can service.
So the rule of thumb for you is less than 30% of your overall available credit.
Yes.
And paid back promptly.
And pay the overdue back.
Not minimum balance.
Not on minimum balance.
Minimum balance, guys, वो भूल ही जाओ, number ही waste है. We'll talk about that later.
You end up paying at least 4 to 5%, 4% a month.
Wow.
So the interest is calculated at 40 to 50% at an annual basis. Imagine 40 to 50%.
It's crazy. It's doubling every year.
Yeah. month on month, it ranges from 3 to 4%. So your 3 to 4% gets applied on the usage, which is 1 lakh rupees. So 3,000 rupees gets deducted, gets charged as interest out of minimum balance.
Nikhil, I know you want to tell people not to look at minimum balance. We'll do a detailed
Yes.
video. So hold that.
Please.
But let's do a little bit more into credit utilization.
Yes.
I have a scenario right now.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
I'm sure many people have the same scenario.
Absolutely.
I have 4 credit cards.
Okay.
But I use only one.
One. Okay.
The other 3, I have just kept it.
Okay.
It's there as a whatever backup or occasionally, you know how every website and e-commerce company during discounts, you get deep discounts with only specific banks.
Right.
Which is why I created those, which is why I took, multiple credit cards.
Got it.
But I use only one.
Got it.
The others are like, you can assume
sort of idle. Yeah.
Max 0% to 2% utilization of the credit.
Got it.
But the one which I'm using, that has good utilization, about 30-40%. And it's paid back on time.
Paid back.
So how is that affecting my credit score? Because I'm not using the other credit facility. It's single digit or less than that.
Right. The other ones which you are not using won't have any effect on your credit score.
It will not become bad.
It will not become bad. It's neither bad nor good.
Okay. It's just a neutral.
It's a neutral cause.
Okay.
So there's no effect on the credit score.
So if you have
because there's no cause only, no?
Correct. So credit utilization, according to you, don't cross 30%.
Shouldn't cross 30%.
And
because you can pay the overdue.
Correct.
Imagine if it's a lakh of rupees, you max out the card. My salary itself is lakh.
Right.
I need money for other purpose. I have to live also, no? Feed my tummy also, no? How do you think you can pay the entire sum?
Do some black money business. Yeah, I got your point.
So I clearly end up paying minimum balance than the entire overdue. That's where the whole trouble starts.
Okay.
Yeah. Second thing I want to remind you, guys, a lot of people, face this issue. You would have taken credit card out of force from somebody or from one of the bank representatives, and you would have just kept it idle. But you would have also signed up for annual charges on their credit card.
Okay,
which might be 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand based on the card. Okay, which gets deducted from the same card on an annual basis. Same card on an annual basis. If you are not monitoring that card, the same 5,000 rupees will go into written off because it's the balance, no? We have seen a lot of people face this issue, and because of which their other loans have gotten stuck. Do you get my point? This has happened out of ignorance.
I have a question for you here.
Yes.
Again, for me personally.
Yes.
All the credit cards which I've taken,
yes,
I've taken lifetime free credit cards.
Oh, fantastic.
So is that like,
then you'll not
is there any hidden charge there?
You will have to check the application.
Okay, I'll check.
So you should really, be aware of those fine prints.
Okay.
You never know. It can be a processing fee, it can be an annual charge, it can be blah blah charge, whatever.
Right.
But you should really be aware of the charges or the fine print. If you have taken a credit and if you are not monitoring it, then these kind of situations can happen, which will come as a surprise, real surprise when you access, when you try to access other credit, and
like a home loan or something,
housing loan or a business loan, right. And there is an urgency attached to it also.
Correct.
If you urgently want business loan, imagine a credit card which you have not even used blocking you from accessing business loan. Guys, it's extremely important.
Has this happened? Have you seen cases?
We should create a short out of this. Absolutely, we should create a short out of this. So please be aware of your credit card.
And the small silly charges, 7 rupees, 10 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupee charges. Yeah.
Anything. Processing charges. Processing anyway gets charged right in the beginning, but annual charges.
Right.
If you have kept it idle and not monitoring it, you will be levied an annual charge which gets deducted from the card.
Right.
And if you do not pay within that month, then DPD starts getting reported.
Yeah.
And in no time, it will go into written off.
Guys, I mean, look, there's a lot of apps, IND Money, Cred, so many apps which will allow you to link your credit card. Even the bank apps these days allow you
Yes.
to link your credit card.
Which helps you monitor.
So just do that. It does not take much time. It's few minutes.
Absolutely. Which will also help you monitor.
But as have you seen cases like this?
Yeah, a lot of them. That's what I'm saying.
Most of them actually come to you like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have like good history. They have
good
done
history, everything.
Koi random
Good
1,000
income.
rupee ka charge.
Some 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 rupees is blocking them from accessing the
50
business
lakhs.
loan or a housing loan. Imagine their trouble. They're crying literally. Like,
So
boss,
what do you do in such scenarios?
we are payback. That's it.
You identify and you
we
pay
identify, pay, get it closed. Get it properly closed.
Okay.
Guys, also please think paying back the overdue, clearing the credit card is again not a closure.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people think that I have closed the overdue. Okay, that means it's not closing the card. It's just you have paid back the balance and there's no usage further.
The card is still active.
Card is still active.
Your credit line is still on.
Credit line is still on and annual charges are still applicable. Annual charges are still applicable. Please be aware. If you have to close the card, then there is a process to close the card. You have to visit the bank, or you have to access your mobile banking. There's a procedure to follow the procedure, properly close the loan account.
Okay.
And make sure that it gets also reported to your credit report.
How do you do that?
If they're not reporting, then you raise a dispute from a credit bureau.
So guys, we'll do some a detailed video on dealing with the credit bureau itself.
Yes.
Different activities you'll do with it. So subscribe for that.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next part, which is I think I fall in this category. So how crucial is the credit for those of us who have a short credit history? So I was fortunate that we've discussed this in the past video also, that I got my first loan as a car loan.
Right. You said that, yes.
Probably because I had a history with the bank, and although I'd never taken a loan in the past.
Correct.
And but I have a very short credit history. So that's it. Like a year and a half probably I've been driving the car. That's it.
Right.
So how again, I don't check my CIBIL score regularly. I'm fortunate enough that I have not had to live on credit, but I'm sure eventually I will. Right. So how is it impacting my CIBIL score, and what should I do about that?
Anyway, I mean, the score would be getting built.
Okay.
It would have built up also. I think it takes 3 to 6 months.
Oh, okay. So 3 to 6 months is good enough time to build up your score?
Build up your score.
But what about those who have even shorter credit histories? How to improve their CIBIL score fast?
There's no shortcut. You would have seen a lot of videos on YouTube
there are some ads
stating how to improve your score fast.
I have seen videos. I don't know. I mean about the content, but the title is like 0 to 700 in 30 days and all that.
And if that has to happen, I think you have to be an employee of CIBIL.
It's not possible.
You just have to tweak the algorithm and straight away shoot your score from 300 to 900.
So what have you seen? Like for someone who has no history,
3 to 6 months.
6 months.
6 months is an ideal period.
Okay.
To boost the score.
So basically, get some kind of a loan account built and service it properly.
Close if there are any other negative accounts, close it properly.
Okay.
And service the existing or running accounts properly.
Okay.
So it takes anywhere between, you can take it as 3 to 6 months. It's an ideal period to boost the score.
So let's talk about this now. An interesting point. You touched on this earlier.
Yes.
I have done multiple credit inquiries.
Okay.
In a short span.
Yes.
As you said, I'm probably in distress or whatever it is.
Yes.
And it's affected my CIBIL score.
Yes.
What should I do now?
Take a break.
For how long?
At least 3 months.
3 months?
3 months.
Wow.
Absolutely. No.
And if you have immediate need for funds?
You have to borrow from your family. So financial institution will not entertain.
Okay. Interesting.
So if you are applying, with multiple banks, left, right, and center, and most of those applications are getting rejected, so then it's a red signal for the other banks. So
Wow.
you have to take a break.
Is 3 months sufficient time?
3 months, after 3 months, slowly you can apply. Apply at
And
once.
when you say slowly you can apply, can you give me example of what is too many inquiries? What's the frequency? And what is like slowly applying? Like what's the numbers if approximately you had to recommend to someone?
So my first and foremost, advice to anybody, but to all our viewers is, so be always prudent. Okay, always have a long-term view of your finances.
Okay.
Do not never ever have a short-term view of your finances.
Okay.
Right. So please anticipate what are the kinds of credit you would need in future.
Okay.
Right. No, it can be a medical need. It can be a housing loan. It can be a vehicle loan. It can be a business loan. But please always have an anticipation. Please plan your finance
Okay.
over a long term. If you want to build a house, imagine, then when are you planning to build a house? Let's assume after 3 years, I'm planning to build a house. Then what is it that's required to build a house?
कितना पैसा रखना है?
Exactly. If am I funding entire, the building cost from my own pocket, or am I going to access credit? How much is it's going to be? How am I going to service it? And what is it that takes to access credit? So if you have a long-term plan, then you'll not, face all these troubles.
Okay.
And in terms of enquiries, the more the number of enquiries, and it, as I said, application to approval ratio, more application, less.
Oh, okay. So the number is not necessarily the number of applications.
One or two. It's
the application to
approval ratio.
So you should not keep it more than 2.
Anything. I mean, if 10 applications and 0 approvals,
you're gone.
Big time impact.
Okay.
So if your one application is getting rejected, please understand why is it getting rejected, rather than applying with 10 different banks. Obviously, each one of them will have the same criteria, or right, no? So I wouldn't recommend anybody to make 10 applications at once. First understand your profile. Apply at a bank which can approve this kind of profile. So, guys, this is again one more insight. Each bank will have its own criteria.
How do you find this data?
It's not for example, I can categorize in general. Lower the interest rate, stringent is going to be the approval measures.
Of course.
This is one easier criteria.
Right.
If you are accessing 7 to 8% housing loan, which is extremely low from an Indian from an India perspective, then the approval is going to be very, very strict. They'll ask you for a lot of details. If you're accessing the same housing loan at 12 to 13%, then they can take deviations.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. No. So please understand your profile first before applying for a loan. So if your profile is bad, if you apply at a national bank, which is giving at 7 to 8%, they'll not approve your loan because they won't be able to take deviations.
Okay. Fair enough. So let's move on. So I've gone through my CIBIL score, it's affected, but I found out that it's affected by, errors and discrepancies.
Yes.
So how do I improve my CIBIL score when it's in such a scenario?
Yeah. First thing is monitoring. Second is understanding what are those errors. Okay. See, one more important error that one needs to understand is, for example, I have a credit card. I've closed it. I've paid. I've closed. I've spoken to customer care. I have all the emails regarding the closure. I have an NOC also, no objection certificate, okay, from the bank. But the same has not been reported. Let's assume that same has not been reported to credit bureau. Okay. In my credit report, the same credit card is still showing as open, and it's also overdue. Okay. This will impact your score. You got my point, no?
So close हो गया है पर credit report में update नहीं हुआ है. How often do you see this?
Quite often.
Okay. So what's the solution for that? You have to get in touch with the CIBIL report.
One, I have to write to bank.
Okay.
Second, I have to write to CIBIL or any of the credit bureau with an NOC stating that, boss, I have already closed this loan account. And why are you showing an overdue? And the same overdue is also impacting my credit score.
Is this the most common thing you have seen when it comes to report errors?
Absolutely.
Any other
one of the most
examples?
common errors. Second, technical issue.
Random account showing up in your account.
Random account shows up.
I've experienced this personally, guys. I'm not me. I'm my dad's account. Some random
in your dad's profile, no? Some random loan account was reflected.
Some random
and which was written off
account.
Also, no? Which was written off?
Written off. I think it was written off. It was some random UP guy.
And having the same name or
having a similar name.
Similar name, right?
Like slight spelling mistake.
Yes.
And dad is like, what the hell is this? Like, his CIBIL score typically was 750, 760.
Yes.
Suddenly it became like, 500, 600 or something.
Yes.
And he was shocked. And he has no idea. Then it was actually quite arduous to get that removed.
Yeah. This has two angles, Nikhil. Guys, please understand, this has two angles. Okay. This could have happened due to mismatch. Okay. From a CIBIL system perspective.
Okay.
This can be rectified by CIBIL as well. Okay. If this hasn't happened or this has not been done by the error in CIBIL system, then this would have happened by the reporting from a bank system.
Okay. So the bank also would
have reported incorrectly.
And this also happens often?
Why? Yeah, this quite often. How? I'll tell you why bank reports it incorrectly. While typing the loan application, my name is Nikhil Raj Shetty. My spelling of Shetty is SHETTY. Imagine that somebody entering the system would have typed Nikhil Raj SETTY. There are other SETTYs also. That's a different community. Shetty.
Right.
So the other, whoever Nikhil Raj Setty's account can also get mapped to my profile. You get my point. Right. So this has two angles. Right. One, bank incorrectly reporting the personal information.
Okay.
There's one error, or error in CIBIL system, in terms of matching the data.
Crazy.
Bank would have reported correctly, but
and say this gets fixed.
Yeah.
Does your CIBIL get recalculated?
Easily. Yeah. So if the error is done by CIBIL, the rectification is easier.
And the score also improves immediately.
But if the error is done by bank, rectification takes time because you have to submit an application to the bank stating that, boss, you have incorrectly, reported my personal information to the CIBIL. Please correct it. So first we need to figure out how many loan applications are there. We have to visit all the banks. We need to check which loan application is reporting the same.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. It's an interesting question. They say generally, you need to have some kind of a loan account and service it properly.
Right.
Build up your CIBIL score.
Right.
One of the most common loan accounts which people have is credit cards.
Absolutely.
So what's the recommended number of credit cards according to you?
0.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, Nikhil. So
what are you saying, man?
You should have. Why I tell you, our society is designed in such a manner. Just before this conversation, we were discussing on the combination of democracy and capitalism.
Right.
Okay.
And I was telling you it was a killer combo.
Absolutely. You were telling me that it was a killer combo. And I was also telling that it comes with its own pros and cons.
Correct.
So I'll speak about cons now.
Sure.
The core of capitalism is it wants to, capitalistic societies, it wants to make people feel less. Or it wants to always have its people feel that it has less. For example, each one of us always
like I want to keep upgrading.
Yeah.
Normal Absolutely. Feature phone say Android phone say iPhone.
Exactly, you get my point.
iPhone say iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Exactly. So that is the core of capitalistic society. It always wants to have people in its society feel
it's
that
missing something.
It's missing something. It has less.
So we were just having this discussion before we start the podcast, and I was telling him that, dude, I don't know how to drive a geared bike. And I feel like buying a Royal Enfield.
Exactly. So you have that feeling of less, no?
Yeah.
You have that feeling
I'm
of
feeling less of a man. And somehow if I buy the Royal Enfield, I'll become more of a man.
Exactly. So this is the core of capitalistic society.
Okay.
So this credit cards are extremely scientifically designed.
Okay.
So when I'm feeling less, I want to have that, no?
Right.
So for example, now I drive a Skoda.
Huh.
Am I fulfilled? I still feel less.
You want a Merc.
Because I want to drive an Audi.
Yeah.
Right, no? You can imagine now.
Right.
How do I drive an Audi? I have to increase my income.
Yeah. Or
Access to credit.
yeah.
This is where the whole credit aspect comes into picture.
Okay.
Now let's fit in the credit card into
Okay.
this feel less society.
Okay.
Society which always feels less.
Okay.
Okay. So I have this credit card. People think that it's a disposable income.
Wow.
Guys, please become aware or be aware that your credit card has been given to you to access credit in terms of whenever you are in distress.
This feels like financial therapy, Nikhil.
It's not it's not a disposable income. Please understand, it's not a disposable income. Disposable income is something wherein whenever you receive a lakh of rupees as a salary, your expenses are, let's assume your monthly expenses are 50,000 rupees. The rest 50,000 rupees is your disposable income.
Right.
Out of which you should be saving at least 50%.
Okay.
And spending the rest 50% on discretionary. For example, buying a phone or buying an upgrade.
So if I have a credit card with 3 lakh rupee limit, that's not my...
It's not your disposable income. Guys, please understand, it's credit. It's a debt.
Okay.
Okay. So here in the process of upgrading ourselves from one thing to other, because we are a society
Capitalist
that
society.
always feels less.
Yeah.
So all these credit cards are scientifically designed to drive people into debt trap.
And it wouldn't sell if it was called the debt card.
Never. I mean, it cannot be called. Obviously nobody would buy it.
So even if it helps me build my CIBIL score, I shouldn't have a credit card?
You should be optimally using it.
Okay.
You should maybe use 10 to 30%
Right.
on your monthly expenses, pay it back on time, and use it. If you are using it on your discretionary spends, and if you overdo it in terms of your upgrades, so there is all the chance of you getting into debt trap. Because first is, let's assume you'll be using it for your expenses, right? No, the less than 30%, and paying it back on time, the entire overdue, which is 30% or 30 grand.
Then having a credit card is okay.
Okay. Next, you want a party, you want to go for a trip, which is an upgrade in your lifestyle. You have your Instagram account, you would be watching a lot of people enjoy this, that, wearing this, that, having this, that. So all the desires are, driving you, to make one, it's making you feel less. Second, it is driving you to get that. So if you swipe your credit card, then it's very clear that you will end up maxing your credit card. Right?
Because there's no limit for that.
Absolutely. So once you max your credit card, so you won't be able to pay it in full.
Right.
So you'll not be paying your overdue, you'll be paying your minimum balance.
And you get into a whole cycle, which we'll cover in another video.
Absolutely. So
but yeah,
it's scientific. All these credit cards are scientifically designed to drive people into debt trap.
So what do you tell to me?
This is the underlying fact.
What do you tell to me? I told you, right? One credit card which I use, and then 4 which are just lying there.
Absolutely. Be prudent in terms of your usage.
Okay.
Don't overdo it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The optimal number is 0, guys. What about this, the credit builder credit cards which they keep advertising these days?
They are secure credit cards.
Yeah. So in those
So
cases,
even if you
it's
max
okay.
it,
It's like a debit card itself.
it's like a debit card itself. It's like you're spending from your savings account.
Right.
Once it's exhaust, it's exhaust. Even if you do not pay back, they'll
just take it from
they'll
your
adjust it from your
fixed deposit.
fixed deposit. Right.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. It's
Yes.
an interesting question. You've covered this roughly, sporadically, but how does settling an outstanding debt versus paying it off in
And
full?
one more thing, Nikhil.
sorry,
The business. I'm also running a business.
Right.
The business guys might kill me for being very conservative in terms of usage of credit, because credit is what drives the demand economy. But what I'm trying to tell people is be prudent in terms of usage of credit. That's
यूज
it.
करो, पागल के
But-
जैसे मत करो.
That's it.
आईफोन के जगह OnePlus से चला लो काम.
Exactly.
That's what I did, guys. But okay, I get your point.
Yes.
Like so they did this study, right? Recently, iPhone sales in India suddenly picked up, and vast chunk of it came from EMIs and credit card sales.
Imagine.
So that was a bit surprising to me in the sense that
Next level up. Now people are taking credit to go for a trip.
right.
I mean, I am not sure, but there are a couple of them who are taking credit to buy undies also.
So guys, what he's trying to say is this, that your credit, ideally speaking, a rule of thumb is use it either when you're buying an asset
Yes.
or
It should generate further.
yeah, exactly, either when you're buying an asset or when it is like under stress or whatever, where you require credit.
Really under stress and you need some money to for that particular scenario. And
Don't use credit to upgrade your lifestyle.
yes.
That will just kill you. So this becomes like a bad habit. Eventually your CIBIL score will become bad, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Because they'll end up defaulting any which ways. Let's assume I have 5 credit cards. If I use it left, right, and center,
I don't.
I wouldn't have enough money to pay it back. So I'll eventually end up defaulting.
Or
Because interest keeps summing up, accumulating. No, 1 lakh attracting 4% a month
is a lot.
is a lot.
It's more than loan
It
sharks,
keeps-
actually.
Yeah, it keeps accumulating.
Loan sharks are cheaper.
Yeah. They give it a 2%.
Right.
So it keeps accumulating. Imagine you having 5 credit cards, 5 lakh rupees. If you spend it 4% on 5 lakh month on month.
You should have good ancestral property.
So
Let's continue. So how does settling an outstanding debt versus paying it off in full affect the CIBIL score?
settling is a negative flag, as we always discussed.
Okay.
Settling is paying 50 to 60% of the outstanding,
Okay.
which is a loss for the bank.
Okay.
So that's why they are marking this particular account or whichever account as settled.
Okay.
Right now, paying in full is always healthy because bank has not lost. That means you are a great customer to the bank, and all the other bank also wants to give you loans. Why banks do not, especially when you are taking mortgage, if you have a settled account, they'll reject your application because for the fact that you understand the concept of settlement. If you have settled your previous account, now you clearly understand the concept of settlement. If they give you a mortgage loan of 1 crore,
You try to settle it for lower.
exactly, you will allow it to allow it to get into an NPA, which is non-performing asset, non-payment of 3 consecutive EMIs. It's a red flag for the bank. Now, bank manager will immediately get stressed that one of his loan accounts have gotten into NPA. So he will, come running to you that, boss, this has gotten into NPA. We have to do this, that. Can you please, pull this out of NPA, this and that. Will again leave it for a while. Then again, he'll be further stressed. So again, then you go make an offer stating that, boss, I have this much money.
I'll give you
I want to
60
settle
lakhs.
this account.
Wow.
So it's a loss. It's clearly a loss for the bank.
But they'll settle it
So
because
nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do business like this.
So if there's a settled off account in your CIBIL report, if it's cleanly paid off, of course, it doesn't affect your CIBIL score, I'm assuming.
Correct.
But if it's settled off, it affects it negatively.
It does.
Is it like a handbrake? You will not get access to credit in the future?
Not really.
Okay.
It depends on the product. As I said, if you're
They'll
applying...
think twice about the home loan, but they may just give you a credit card.
Exactly.
Okay. So this is an interesting question. I have seen you have actually... I have personally never been a guarantor or someone who's guaranteed a loan account for a friend or family member.
Right.
Not been in a circumstance.
Right.
But after having spoken to you, I'm never going to do it. But for people who have done it,
right.
If someone has been a guarantor or a joint account holder,
right,
where there was a default,
right,
how does that impact the CIBIL score, and what measures can they take to improve it and change it?
Absolutely. So again, same thing. Whatever account, for example, I'm a borrower.
So if you're a guarantor, does it come in your CIBIL report?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. If I'm a borrower, let's assume I have borrowed personal loan with a guarantor, you as a guarantor, 10 lakh rupees. The same loan account reflects in your credit report also as guarantor.
Wow, okay.
There is a column which which clearly specifies that whether I'm a borrower or guarantor or joint account holder or XYZ in the loan account information.
Okay.
So which clearly differentiates me as borrower, you as guarantor. Okay. But the same loan account reflects in both our profiles. Okay. And my activity will also impact your credit score.
Okay.
If I'm paying on time, fantastic. Your score is also getting impacted. It's also growing. If I am default, if I'm not paying on time, if there are DPDs getting reported in my profile, the same loan account in your profile will also have DPDs.
Okay.
So both of us will have the same loan accounts.
It's as good as you've taken the loan, basically.
Exactly.
All the things you've mentioned.
So if you are a guarantor, if you read the application, so if you please understand this fact, being a guarantor, if you are being a guarantor, then you are also equally responsible to pay the loan back.
One of the simplest things you can do, guys, don't be a guarantor.
Yes.
And if someone is pushing you, they are emotionally blackmailing you.
Absolutely.
Because you'll be a guarantor, typically your relatives or close friends, I'm assuming.
Yes. If you're being
just
a guarantor,
clearly, I don't have the money.
Yes. To pay it back.
If they say things
or
like,
I don't want to take that responsibility.
Oh yeah, I don't want to take that responsibility.
Yes. And if you are pretty sure of taking the responsibility, please take the responsibility. But understand the fact that
you
are equally responsible to pay the loan back.
Right.
That's it.
वो भागेगा वो डूबेगा तुमको भी लेके डूबेगा.
Exactly. Then you should be paying it.
Let's move on to the next question.
Yes.
So you spoke about this a little bit, but how frequently should one review their credit score or credit report to ensure that they are on the right track?
At least once in 6 months. Nobody would review it month on month.
Any apps you recommend which you think has worked well?
CIBIL is the app. Now a lot of...
Do they charge you money?
Yes.
How much do they
you can access 800 rupees 6 months access.
Okay.
You get authentic data because CIBIL is the
main provider.
Main provider, service provider.
Do they have an app or how do you get it?
They do have an app. You can access it via app as well as their web application.
Okay.
So please access CIBIL. 800 rupees is not a very big sum to access your report. Please monitor it at least
once in 6 months.
Once in 6 months, if not month on month. Month on month would be ideal, but at least once in 6 months. If not, a lot of these new age apps are offering CIBIL, access to CIBIL report for free, which is their marketing, which is the funnel. Wow.
Oh, they actually spend $800.
They might be spending less because
they'll get a bulk discount.
It's a bulk discount.
Yeah.
It's at scale, but they still be spending.
Their reports are accurate according to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, depends on the date. They will also. So please see the dates.
Okay.
So if you are accessing report will also have a date.
Correct.
As to when it is updated. So if you see the date, you'll get to know that this credit report is updated till this date. If I'm accessing the report now and the report is of the January of this year, January of 2023, then the whole 6-7 months ka content is missing, information is missing. So please be up.
So if you use one
Aware
of
of the
these
fact.
apps like Cred or IND Money, or there's so many other ones which give you CIBIL report,
Right.
just check the date, whatever is being
Dates.
shown. I've understood now CIBIL improvement.
Right.
We've approached it in a lot of different angles. But why should I come to you now that you've told me all of this? Like, when is the right time to seek professional help for CIBIL score improvement? And what does a company like Kenstone bring to the table?
Right. First thing is comfort and convenience.
Okay.
Yes, we can be, always I compare it to Swiggy. Why do you have to, order on Swiggy when you can go to the same place, and
Right.
when you can go to that particular restaurant and get a package or eat there? It's sheer comfort and convenience. Sitting at a place, you're getting your job done. Second, understanding of the technicalities. So CIBIL will, the moment you have an issue in your credit report because of which your loan gets rejected, you'll not be aware of what is that particular issue, why is that happened, whom should I go to resolve that issue. So a lot of these questions need to be answered before you can get your issue resolved and also have your loan approved. So if you yourself try to understand all those questions or try to answer all those questions, it might take you 6 to 9 months. Isn't it?
Right.
So we cut it down to 30 to 60 days.
Okay. And
So
these are the
turnaround
two
time.
main things.
Main aspects. One is comfort and convenience.
And
Second,
turnaround time.
turnaround time.
Okay. And what about, when should someone think of going for professional help? Typically, what are the markers you have seen with your customers?
Largely, the customers that come to us are either home loan, rejections.
Oh,
Housing
when you
loan
start seeing
rejections.
rejections.
Yeah. When their application gets rejected because of an issue in their credit report, or your business loans, wherein the urgency is on the higher side. At least the home loan is fine, but from a business loan perspective, the urgency is on the higher side. They'll have an issue in their company's credit report.
Okay.
It's a rank which ranges from 1 to 10. So higher the rank, the larger the issue. So that's the challenge.
So let's move on to my next. This is probably the last question.
Okay.
So I finally have improved my CIBIL score.
Okay.
What are some tips? What are some key practices you think I should adopt to make sure it never drops again?
Absolutely. Monitoring is the most important aspect.
You're right.
You should keep monitoring it.
Right.
Month on month would be ideal, but I would suggest at least once in 6 months.
Okay.
Second, over a period, in the process of monitoring, understand all the aspects of credit report.
Okay.
Once you understand, you should also be able to predict as to, or identify as to what is affecting your credit score.
Okay.
If you're interested. If you're not interested, we are there. We are anyway there. You can always reach out to us.
Okay.
So we will help you with all sorts of information. Okay. Second, we will also help you with all sorts of resolution.
So guys, there you have it. Interesting. I hope you found this video interesting. We covered improvement of CIBIL score from all different angles. If we missed anything and you have any other questions, let us know in the comment section below.
I would be happy to answer.
He's always checking the YouTube comments.
Yes.
So I'm sure he'll reply. And if there's any other challenges you have personally faced or any interesting stories of your CIBIL report, because we're more than happy to share with everyone and spread this awareness, as we're still a young credit country.
Yes.
Please share in our comment section below. See you all in our next video. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.